and live your life today. It doesn't matter what they say.
So this is just going to be a quick intro into the Clair Senses. I've had a lot of people talking to me about this recently, and it's so interesting to me. If you, like 2 years ago, I didn't know what Clair Senses were. I had no idea about them. I had no idea. It was, you're a psychic, you're a medium, you're that's the stuff you saw in the movies. I mean, it just really wasn't a thing for me until I started. I know just the tip of the iceberg, but I've had so many of you who were just like me a few years ago. And this is why I wanted to talk about it, because I was like, I don't have any of these senses. Like whatever anybody's talking about, like I don't have any of them. I can't hear dead people. I can't see dead people. I'm not able to feel anything. Like if anything, I thought I was like, I had Clairempathy, but I found out that I actually have most of these Clair senses, and I think you will find out that you do as well. Because what happens with these Clair senses is when you're born developed with them, you just automatically think that everybody else has them as well. Like you just think that everybody else is doing the exact same thing and seeing the same things as you are and feeling the same things as you are. But then as soon as you hear about this, then you go, wait a second, that's me. And so I have found out that I am actually dominant in, I think, 4 of them. 4 of them right now are pretty developed. And the others I'm looking into developing, and also I'm developing my others even more. When we were learning about these things, like I just really didn't even expect myself to have any of these things. I really didn't until we started deep diving into it. And then I realized, okay, yes, I do. I have actually quite a few of these, and I just thought everybody else did too. But here's the thing is that, Hollywood and all of these like scary movies and horror movies, they kind of make it either like superpowers or like scary to have, or that it is scary to have. And don't get me wrong, if you do have these, it can be quite scary and quite overwhelming. But there's also a beautifulness about it. Like there's a beautiful magic about it, and they are like superpowers. And whenever you're able to use them to your advantage, and once you understand them and you develop them and you're able to put these boundaries around them, then it's a totally different thing. Like you're able to go through life with like all of this new knowledge, right? So I just want to dive right into it, actually. So there are 8 Clair senses. There is Clairvoyance, Claircognizance, Clairaudience, Clairempathy, Clairsentience, Clairtangency, Clairalience, and Clairgustance. Now I'm going to go over like each one. Some of you may have heard of these. Some of you may not know any of these. The first one is Clairvoyance. It's Clair seeing. So this is whenever you can actually see things. If you have clairvoyance, if you have vivid dreams, if you have visions, mental images, if you see mental images, and many movies that flash through your mind. You can see colors. You can see like the colors of the auras, people around you. You can see the energy and the auras of plants and animals. You're able to see angels, ghosts, spirits, or other beings. I actually think I had clairvoyance when I was younger, and it's starting to come back because I'm starting to develop it. But I remember seeing these visions. So with me, I used to see the flashes. Like I would see the flashes. Whenever I'd close my eyes, I would just see visions it was like faces and stuff like that going through my mind. That was one of the things that I thought everybody had. And whenever I talked to my first husband about it, he said it was weird. And he actually shut me down and said that everybody does not have that going on in their head. And I remember I blocked it. I blocked it at that time. And Sarah, I think I was even talking to you about it when we were learning about this, because all of a sudden it came flooding back to me of me saying, oh my gosh, like I remember that. And I remember he said I was weird. And I remember he said, no, everybody doesn't have those things going through their head and see those things. So anyway, I haven't had it come back yet, but I'm working on it. So I do believe that I had that when I was younger. You also have clairvoyance, which is clear seeing. If you can easily visualize solutions to problems. So you're actually seeing the solution to the problem instead of thinking about it, like you're seeing it. This is like rearranging furniture or loading and arranging the items in the dishwasher, those kinds of things, like Tetris, that kind of stuff. If you can kind of see it all put together before it really is. If you're clairvoyant, you may have the ability to see the future, to clarify and illuminate the present, or even see the past. When you have these gifts and they are overwhelming and there aren't boundaries, it can be scary and it can give anxiety and it can give stress. So just know that there are ways to really find these gifts as beautiful and to use them, because they're yours. They're yours and they're yours to use. They are like superpowers. So, okay. So the next one is clairaudience. This is one that I actually have. This is one of my dominant ones that I didn't realize that I had. This is clear hearing. So if you have clairaudience, you perceive sounds, words, or noises from the spiritual realm. So you can actually hear things that are like, you can hear music, you can hear people talking in the background, you can hear frequencies, you can hear, I don't know, just all kinds of things. Like for me, whenever I finally realized this, well, I'll actually share it after I say all the things. So you can you're hearing voices. It's either outside of yourself or inside your head. You're naturally attuned to sounds, tones, rhythm, and music. So for me, whenever I finally realized that I had this, it was when I realized that I get yelled at in my sleep. Like somebody will yell my name, not somebody. People that are trying to get my attention will yell my name in my sleep, and it wakes me up just like that. I'll be sound asleep and all of a sudden I hear Lori, and I like sit up in bed, So that's when I realized I had audience. I also hear the ringing. I can hear the frequencies. I can hear shifts in pressure. Like if any of you feel that, there's like this shift in the pressure. That's also clairaudience. A good example of clairaudience is whenever, and the example they use here, which has happened to me, is you'll start to go, like you're driving on the highway and you start to go off the exit that you normally would go, and then all of a sudden you hear, don't take that exit, or don't go down that alley, or don't take that road, or something like that. And so you veer off because it's like somebody is actually right next to you, even though you're alone in the car. And then you find out later that there was an accident or, I don't know, construction or something like that happened. And so it was actually guidance for you. Like something was giving you guidance so that you had a safe way to work or something. Okay, the next one is clairempathy. So clairempathy is clear emotional feeling. So this is when you actually sense other people's thoughts and emotions. This is the awareness of or perception of emotional energy. You don't necessarily experience the feeling in your body. That's something different that we'll get to in a minute. But you're just aware. You're aware of the energy in the air. You're aware of the emotion. Empaths need self-care and psychic protection techniques to successfully manage their empathic nature and shield themselves from energetic overload. So if you have clairempathy, a lot of times you don't like being in big crowds, like being at the mall or being in big crowds with concerts or sporting events or something like that, where the energy is really high and there's a lot of people around you, and it's because you are very sensitive to the energy around you. You don't have those boundaries put in place yet. So, And that's the thing. Next thing is it's important to maintain spiritual boundaries because you want to replenish your energy and clear unwanted negative energy from your auric field. That's another thing. Like, so, you know, whenever you're around somebody that just drains the energy from you, or you can walk into a room and you can feel the energy of the room or the energy off of a person. That's clairempathy right there. So a lot of times clairempathy gets confused with clairsentience, and empaths sense the emotion, whereas sentience experience the emotion. So they actually feel the emotion, where if you're an empath, you're just feeling, you're like sensing the emotion. Okay, so the next one is clairsentience. Clairsentience is a clear physical feeling. So with a clear physical feeling of clairsentience, this basically is you obtain intuitive insight by the way of a physical experience in your body. Like you have that gut feeling, something doesn't feel right, you're getting ready to walk down an alley or something like that, and you don't, like your body stiffens up. It really won't, you actually can't go down the alley because you get this horrible feeling. This is what clairsentience is. It's an actual physical sensation you feel in your body. So clairsentience, you feel it. You don't just sense it, you feel it, you experience it. Other people's emotions, ailments, injuries, sometimes you'll feel pain. A lot of twins actually have this with each other because you'll feel physical and emotional pain of land or a place where tragic events have occurred. So we actually have a spot here where I live, and a big massacre happened like back in the pioneer days. And a lot of people that have clairsentience, whenever they go up there, they just have this overwhelming, they're just overwhelmed with what they feel there at that spot, at that site. And if any of you have this, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's clairsentience. Clairtangency is the next one. That's clear touching. So it's with your hands. This is the ability to perceive facts about an event or a person by contact with or proximity to the object or person. So this is super cool. I don't have this, and I kind of wish I did have this one, because this one is like when you're holding somebody's watch, or you're around in an antique shop, or you're touching, like you touch somebody, like you can actually touch somebody and you can start to feel, see, hear, taste, like all the things about, like if it's an object at an antique store, like an antique object, then you'll be able to feel the energetic imprint of the person that owned that item. It's actually pretty cool. That's one of the things that I'm like, oh yeah, that might be fun to have. So if a lot of times they don't want to be in flea markets, if you have this and you don't realize that you have this, it's because you're overwhelmed when you're in like secondhand stores or thrift shops or anything like that. Super important for you to have those boundaries in place and understand what's happening whenever you go into those situations. Clairalience is actually clear smelling. So this has to do with your nose. Okay, so it's this is whenever you walk into a room or you're sitting there and you're doing something and all of a sudden you smell grandma's favorite perfume, or somebody that passed that smoked a specific kind of cigar and all of a sudden you smell the cigar or the cologne, or like lilacs, like let's say somebody's favorite flower, roses, something like that. This is whenever you start to smell that when there is no way that that smell should be there. So if you ever experience that, then you have clairsalience, clear smelling. Okay, and then the last one is Clairgustance. This is the clear tasting. So this is when you actually taste things in your mouth. Like you actually taste chemicals, you taste like favorite meals or something like that from somebody who's passed, or a loved one. This one actually comes up a lot in criminal investigations. So, you know, this is the one that if there's certain chemicals, there's like you taste metal, you taste blood, it's like hints in crime scenes. That's the kind of thing that that is. And yes, they actually do use psychics and they do use mediums and all of that, people with these senses in the investigations. So you can actually Google all of these. You can go down huge rabbit holes. The second that I started learning about them, I was fascinated because I found out I had so many of them that were developed all like right away. Mine are clairvoyance. Not totally developed, but I do have it. Claircognizance for sure is a dominant. Clairaudience for sure. So claircognizance is the clear knowing. Like this is the one that is my dominant one. I really like it. This is my superpower. I love it. So claircognizance is the clear knowing. This is when you know something to be true, even though you didn't see it, hear it, or feel it. You just know it. Like you just know it. So this is really amazing for people that try to lie to you and you totally know that they're not telling you the truth. So this is instant insight or a download of information that needs no processing or interpretation. So those of you that know me, I always say, oh, I had a download just now, and it's like this stream of information that just comes down. This is something that's like nagging at you, like poking at you, poking at you, poking at you. And also awareness that someone is lying to you when you have no physical evidence. So claircognizance is amazing. I love it. I actually do love it a lot. It's your clear knowing. So let's go back to these again. Clairvoyance is clear seeing. So that's whenever you see the visions, you see the slides, you see the things running through your mind. Claircognizance is clear knowing. You just know. Like you just know. Like the other day, I have an event that I'm going to, and I just knew that the location had changed to the venue. And even though I had mentioned it and everybody was like, no, no way, is that venue changing? That location will not change. I found out 2 days later that it had indeed changed, even though everyone was like, no, that's not, there's no way they could change that. So so that's my claircognizance, clear knowing. Clairaudience is the clear hearing. So that's when I talk to you about, I get woken up in the middle of the night by somebody yelling my name. You literally hear something that says stop or don't go there. You can hear the frequency changes. You can hear music when there's no music playing. You can hear talking. You can hear when there's nobody around. It's that kind of thing. Clairempathy, this is sensing emotions, the emotional feelings. So this is when you're like in a crowd and you get overwhelmed, you get anxious, you're feeling other people's, this is actually sensing the energy around you. It's not feeling it, it's sensing it. Clairsentience is when you are actually feeling the emotions. This is what I talked about with twins, that they can actually feel like pain. It's kind of like mothers can do that with their children sometimes. Whenever this is dominant with them, you can actually, like, all of a sudden you have a pain and then you call somebody, hey, are you okay, or whatever, and they're like, no, I actually just broke my leg or something like that. So that's what Clairsentience is. Clairtangency is clear touching. So that's when you can touch something like an item or a person, and you know what's going on. You know where the item, you know things about the owner of the item, and then if you're able to touch somebody, and then you know what's going on there. And then Clairalience, that's the smells. So that's like your grandmother's perfume, your grandfather's cigar, the smell of roses or lilacs when there's none to be found. So any kind of smell or sense or fragrance that you smell. And then the last one is Clairgustance, and that's the clear tasting. So that's whenever you have all of a sudden like a taste of blood, metal, whiskey. That's actually another one that a lot of times people will be able to taste, like if the person used to like beer, or like any kind of alcohol, because different kinds of alcohol have such a strong, unique flavor that you will taste that. You will actually taste that in your mouth. So Those are the Clair Senses. You can kind of go over which sense you have, and then you can really go down the rabbit hole of Googling and learning all about it, because it is quite cool and fascinating. And then if you wanted to learn how to control it or how to develop it more, there's a ton of resources out there on that as well. Let's see what's going on now. Okay, so I have the spiral. I have a few openings for the spiral. I'm actually getting really close to being on a wait list. So if there's anybody that is interested in spiral is complete transformation. Changed my life, changed several people's lives in this group. If you want to just bust through your limiting beliefs and your conditioning, talk to me about spiral. If you're just done, you're over it, you were sick of your stories messing with you and keeping you from doing what you desire and keeping you from heading towards your goals and just going out and crushing life, then talk to me about spiral, because it is amazing.
And live your life today.